Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. If I was still reviewing weekly episodes of Ready to Love, I would have given the newest episode of Ready to Love Detroit a solid 2, because the episode ended in a cliffhanger and we don't know which cast member got eliminated. Most of you already know how I feel about episodes that end in a cliffhanger. But in this past episode, the men had the power to eliminate, and they nominated Donna and Christina for the chopping block. Now, I can understand why the men nominated Donna and Christina, but out of those two women, I strongly believe that only Donna is on the show for the right reasons. Christina, in my opinion, is on Ready to Love for all the wrong reasons, and over the course of the video, I plan to present my case for why Christina and women like her either remain single or they get into an unfulfilling toxic relationship. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. When I first saw Christina on Ready to Love Detroit, and I learned a little bit about her backstory, my initial thoughts were that Christina was physically attractive and very talented. But in the back of my mind, I was wondering what was it about Christina that would make a man want to marry her and enjoy being around her for the foreseeable future. 5 episodes later, and I've come to the sort of conclusion that any reasonable person watching this show would come to, which is that Christina doesn't offer much outside of her looks and what she could potentially do in the bedroom. But this is not Christina's fault, at least not entirely. Christina and women like her suffer from a condition called PPS, which stands for Pretty Privilege Syndrome. In a nutshell, pretty privilege is when a series of benefits are given to somebody solely because the recipient of said benefits have been deemed to be very attractive. The ultimate goal of the person who's given these benefits is to have a chance at getting some bedroom action, whether it be sooner or later. Because Christina and women like her suffer from pretty privilege, it means that they have to have a high level of self-awareness regarding their looks and what some men would be willing to do just for the opportunity to gain access to a pretty woman's time. In the mind of Christina and women alike, if a man wants a woman, then he has to be willing to show it in his actions and his wallet. Christina mentioned that she typically tests a man's worth by asking that man if he will be willing to pay for her to have an expensive massage. Now, while this is a pretty extreme position for any woman to take when entering the dating scene, there are scores of women out there who feel that a man needs to spend money on them if he wants to have access to a woman that he's interested in. This typically comes in the form of a guy paying for dates or spending money on gifts for the woman. Here is the problem with women who have this type of mindset. When a woman comes to a man and tells them that she will not take him serious unless he spends money on her, then she's setting herself up for 3 types of responses from men. The simp response is a response from a guy who will do just about anything to get the attention from a certain type of woman, and by the time that he realizes that he has been used without getting anything out of the deal, this type of guy becomes jaded and he has hate towards all women. The second response is the player response, and in this response, the guy will do just enough to clap the cheeks a couple dozen times, and when a better woman comes along, he will release the current woman back into the wild while going back on the hunt. This response is usually the response that women hate the most because they feel like they got beat at their own game. But the third response is the common sense response. And in this response, a man with common sense is asking himself, why in the hell would he spend a ridiculous amount of money on a woman that he hardly knows? This type of guy will either flat out tell a woman that she's crazy, or he won't even entertain the foolishness. But in my opinion, whenever a woman turns the opportunity to date them into a business transaction, then they can't be surprised when the men treat the situation like a business transaction as well. After all, this is what F around and find out looks like in the dating world. Some people enter this world wanting to fulfill their own selfish desires, and they leave the experience either angry or unfulfilled because the focus was on acquiring a specific want instead of meeting a specific need. Back to the case of Christina. I don't fault her for acting the way that she acts on Ready to Love Detroit. I fault the dozens of men who agreed to pay her for her time because they weren't thinking logically about the situation. If they had just used some type of common sense, then women like Christina wouldn't be profiting off of something as sacred as a date or the getting to know you process. It's always been my belief that getting to know somebody should cost nothing, and if money has to be spent, then the budget for dates should be under $30, unless both parties plan to go Dutch. You see, good people, when you eliminate money out of the dating and getting to know you phase, then you also eliminate expectations on both parties, and you drastically limit the amount of games that are being played. In a nutshell, this approach creates an overall better environment for anybody who's genuinely looking for love. I fear that women like Christina will not only fail to find genuine love, but they will also raise kids and influence others to share their philosophy on dating, which in turn will further pollute the dating pool. But back to the cliffhanger elimination. I would like to see Christina getting eliminated from Ready to Love Detroit, but knowing how the show operates, because to them she is a conquest, and once they fulfill that conquest, they'll be ready to move on to another woman. But those are my thoughts on Christina and the pending elimination, and I would like to know what you all think about it. Feel free to leave all comments below in the comment section, and I'll reply to everybody. Catch you next time.